Yo, what is up? What is up? Happy Sunday to you. It is November 3rd, 2019. Sounds crazy saying that. November 3rd, 1989, I was a 16-year-old kid, drawing his brains out, having big time obsession with all things comics. And here it is, 30 years later. I still feel that way. So today, I wanted to talk to you guys about format. I think Couchdoodles Live could benefit from having a format and having sort of an order to things like a regular variety show would. So what I'm hoping to see from you guys is sort of a wish list of what you'd like to see from the Couchdoodle show. You've seen a myriad of things already, whether it was live drawing, looking through comics. Some of my other videos have tutorials and instructional stuff. You know, down the pipe there's going to be some interviews, possibly even some portfolio reviews. I was also thinking about expanding what kind of stuff we cover. Like, one of the things I really enjoy is game cinematics. Sometimes I feel like those game cinematics are better than movies out there. They certainly look like it. I recall one for a Star Wars game that Blur had done the cinematics on, and Darth Vader and his stormtroopers are going through a snowy forest. And it was one of the most gorgeous versions of Star Wars I'd ever seen. And I remember saying, man, the Star Wars movies looked and felt like this. I could watch them till my eyes bled. So I'm thinking about checking out some really great cinematics, and then after we take a look at them and say what we like and things, I might just draw a character from those. So anyhow, I want to say hello. Let's check who is in the chat room. The Fragaboom box. That's what I want to call it, the Fragaboom box, because I come from the day and age of having a boombox, and you could carry that boombox around as long as you had like 15 pounds of D-cell batteries and a strong arm. You know, you always had to switch the arms, otherwise you'd look all solid on one side and all gimpy on the other, in comparison. Let's see who's in the room. Kevlar Blast Shield, how are you, sir? After dealing with a mom with demands all day long, this show is a welcome break. I can understand that, my friend. Marcus, how are you, sir? What is poppin'? Chris, what's poppin' today is my Flying Kickman Bruce Lee hat. They were very kind over there at brucelee.com and the Lee family by sending me some really cool stuff, some hats, some shirts, a jacket. They know what a huge inspiration that Bruce has been to me, and I've been nothing but supportive of the legacy and everything they're doing over there. So if you guys want to check out brucelee.com, you should. You should have a segment going through the spinner rack talking about influences on you and what artists you admire. I think we're gonna definitely do that. The great thing about this spinner rack is I can pull the actual book off the rack, and we could look at a digital version where I can zoom in on things. So I think that's a fantastic idea. Cutscenes from God of War are awesome. I'm gonna have to check those out. Mark Couton, how are you, sir? Hopefully I said it right. It sounds, it looks French to me, so hopefully I said it correctly. Thank you for giving this a thumbs up over there on Facebook too. I saw that. I was like, oh, check Mark out. I'm glad you're here, man. Really good to see you. What up, Akuma? So, what I proposed to the what I'm calling the Fragaboom box, filled with the dudes, D-double-O-D-Z. That's you guys. I want to start creating a format for our show. So the idea is Because back in the day, like I said, I'm amazed that it's 2019. Back in 1989, I had a public access television show where I would say, "This is comic review for you," or something like that. I remember I did that at the end, like some hand gesture, but it was a live show. I think maybe 2 people saw it. Fortunately, if you go to the YouTube address of Flyco Joe, it's one word, Flycojoe. He happens to have 3 of the episodes on there, which is kind of crazy. It's a little embarrassing because there's a lot of missteps. Live TV is very difficult for a 16-year-old. It's pretty crazy. But the reason I bring up that show is back then what we had, especially with live TV, we had several segments. I was just one segment on a major thing called KMTZ, which was sponsored by my high school's AV department. And if you were interested in AV, you were interested in creating shows or anything like that, this is what you did. It was an after-school program that you'd go in on Wednesdays, and they had everything kind of tied down. So what I would always have to do is I'd have to come in with sort of an idea of what we were doing. So I would do a review of that week's comics. I would talk about movie news. Then I would take a look at some things like a comic convention, or go to a comic shop, or interview guests, or take a trip through my studio and the things that it would take to draw. And these are the things I did when I was 16. But everything kind of had its place. And what I'm thinking now is I think that this show could benefit from having at least a format and structure. And what I'd like to do for certain segments, and they're not going to be in every one, but remember Bill Nye the Science Guy? He would have sort of a theme, and he would go through it. So for example, let's say I ran a Couchdoodles live about my love for Mike Mignola comics, right? Way back in the day, the first time I'd ever seen his art wasn't in a comic book. In fact, back in 1987, one of my very first jobs, my very first job was working at a silkscreen company called Labor of Love Graphics in my hometown of Martinez. And Martinez was very close to Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco, where a lot of artists were. And we had a lot of famous comic shops there, Comics and Comics, Comic Relief, of course, Flying Colors. They're celebrating their 31st year this year. I went to a store called Land and Neverwas and Flying Colors. But Mignola was a Bay Area guy, so first time I'd ever seen his artwork was on a shirt that Labor of Love was producing, and I said, man, this guy's really cool. It's like a bubbly fantasy style. Same with Carl Potts. I have some Carl Potts t-shirts from like 1986, the old shirts and stuff. But if I review Mignola, I would talk about first time I saw his stuff, like I just did now. We would then take a look at some of the comics. Then we would cut into the interview and possibly even do a little bit of drawing. I don't know what they call it, Churrascaro. I don't remember what it's called, but it's in black and white we call it no tan, like we talked about the other day, the balance between light and dark, how much volume you give to the dark versus the light, and even in simple panels or even complex panels, you can set your no tan to really direct the eye and give a sense of volume. Especially, I'll tell you, if you want to make your character look like it's standing somewhere, put a shadow underneath it. That makes it stick to the ground. It's kind of cool. But anyway, something like that. Or, for example, I want to start doing those creative shorts. They're not going to happen this year. They're probably going to happen roughly around mid-Black Flag time. But like that love bot we drew the other day with the butterfly, I have tons of stories with him. Possibly doing episodes of Fight in animatic form, so I can actually sort of do quasi-animation and give you guys little 1-minute snippets. And then what I can do afterwards is I can isolate those and just put them out there. Or the other thing I'm learning from other outlets is taking your content and have the creation of your content be content. So for example, if I did show you guys, hey, here's an episode of Fight, and maybe it's a minute long of 2 guys beating each other to the death, You're like, oh man, that's cool. It was a lot of fun to watch. Then I show you behind the scenes on how I storyboard it, what software I'm using, benefits of those software, that sort of thing. So think about format. Want to definitely hear what you guys think. Let's go to the box. Let's go to the Fragaboom box and check it out. Where we at? Are there any connection between your Motu and Kevin Smith's? What's going on, Late Kick? What up, Rodwell? Chris? I don't know. That's the thing with Kevin Smith. The stuff's a mystery, a big time mystery to me. And the reason I'm saying that is when I was at PowerCon and they announced my project not my project, the Motu project, but the project that I'm on and Tim Seeley was there, Rob David was there. We did a panel. I heard Kevin Smith was going as well. Had no idea why. None. You guys ever have some of your kids' candy or any Halloween candy for that matter? I love Almond Joy. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. But you always get those bits of coconut that come back at you. Non sequitur. All right. What's happening, Late Kick? What up, D? How are you, man? So anyway, the question is about format, and as I'm able to, as things have ebbs and flows on my deadlines, I'm going to start kind of tying down what is called pre-recorded, right? So more crafted stuff. Like if you look at some of my older videos, there's editing involved, like my making of a cover. I will cut to different shots of things. You're not just looking at my mug talking to you, and you're not just watching what I drum up on the iPad. I can just say, hey, check this out. Also trying to solve the chat situation. As it turns out, the software that I use here is great for two-way chats. In fact, I'm going to need to test it at some point tomorrow or Tuesday to see how and if it works, because I've got some things I want to know about. But that's in preparation for our very first via satellite guest, Mr. Art Taber, who will be here to talk about Chrono Mechanics, his Indiegogo campaign, his previous Indiegogo campaign of Black and White, which is the return of his 1994 Image comic that he did out of Extreme Studios, a place that I was also a resident of. I don't know what you call it when you're part of a studio, a resident, a member. We even had our own jackets and such, but Art was there. And previous to that, Art had been inking Dan Jurgens over on Superman, and previous to that, or actually no, roughly around the same time, he's going to help me clear up the timeline, which is a wonderful thing. We are going to talk about his work with Jim Lee, his work with Will Spertasio, his work with Rob Liefeld, his own work on the Cable series, and his 35-year career, which is kind of awesome. I knew he was around before I was, and I knew he was around for a bit, but I didn't realize he was that far in. He actually predates Liefeld, and he is the 12th most prolific inker of all times of comic bookdom, out of all comic bookdom, which is really an incredible feat. Let's see what we got in the box. What up, Jason? How are you, man? It's good to see you. Today in my my glass, we've got some more of that Pinot Noir, because my wife bought the box of wine that I love so much. But it hasn't given me a headache yet. But again, I'm only drinking maybe a glass or so because the mornings are crazy. But how are you guys feeling with that that extra hour? I'm throwing it in air quotes because I have an 8-month-old that does not distinguish the difference between 5:45 and 4:45. Therefore, she's up when she gets up. Fortunately for me, my wife kicks major butt as a mom and lets me sleep another half hour. No, I'm kidding. I usually get another hour in there, but still maximum 6 hours. and then I wake up and I draw crazy shit and have a good time doing it. So today I was posting some Black Flag nostalgia, right? And this was a piece that I had done back in 2013 where it was one of those ones where I just felt like I needed to draw this character. And it was one of the first times that the characters started nagging at me. And I call it nagging because these things have a life of their own, right? You know, and you can only really reflect back upon them as having a life of their own when you have some time away from it. And what I mean by that is when I draw a comic book, or if I storyboard something, or if I've directed something, whenever I've been at the helm of my portion of creativity, it's such a crazy experience that let's put it this way, for you to look at a panel when you're reading a comic, depending on your reading habits or whatever, a panel could last you 5 seconds. If it's something that catches you, that panel could last you maybe a couple of minutes, right? But when I've created a panel, I've lived in the script phase, I've lived in the imagine it phase, I've lived in the layout phase, I lived in the drawing it phase, and a lot of times what you actually see that panel, there might be a couple of hours represented in the craft of that. So I know where every rock is, I know where the intent of every part of it. So when I look at it, it's hard to see it as anything other than the thing that you labor over. Having an experience like you guys are having, where it's almost all immersion, is something that doesn't happen for me until maybe as soon as 6 months after. But what gets kind of crazy sometimes, though, especially if you've put in, like with Black Flag, there are over 100 pages of content. And I thought about those characters a lot when I did them, like a lot, like obsessively, like they were my kids. And that drawing was one of those like things where it was almost like a whisper from another room. Draw me. You need this. Make some pouches. Do this. And at the time, I was over at Mattel, working on Monster High and Ever After High. So a lot of the brands that I worked on over there at Mattel were the girl brands. The great thing was I had a baby girl in 2011. So by the time I was working at Mattel, I felt like I was making that stuff for her. So my filter was there, but I still drew every day. And that's why you see me say those things. I even have a t-shirt that says draw every day. It's something I tell people when they show me their work. I always say, remember, draw every day, Speaking of draw every day, one of these days I'm going to get, how many of you guys remember from around 86, 87, a guy named Commander Mark? He had a show called Secret City, and then later on he had Imagination Station, but he was always encouraging people to get up and draw. He's a friend of mine. I actually got to meet him a couple years ago in Vegas, and we became pals. And he's just an incredible inspiration, and he's one of those guys who would say, draw, draw, draw. And he made me want to draw even more. I would say that Commander Mark is one of the major ingredients. If I was a sauce, he would, like a tomato sauce, he would definitely be like a tomato or an onion. Like, you can't have it without it, at least in my book, you need that onion. But he's a major portion of my inspiration. I would say my grandfather, Commander Mark, my art teachers, for different reasons, more of I'll show them, they'll rue the day, like Syndrome in Toy Story, or not Toy Story, Incredibles, what am I saying? Syndrome, buddy, get out of here, buddy. Let's see, let's go to the boombox and see what's happening. She may not pay attention to the clock, but she's a cutie. She sure is. Not an offense, but I was mentioning to Dee how much your style has grown over the years since the 90s. There's no offense taken, man. Well, I'm going to get into that in a second. I can't judge anything till I'm done for about a year when I've forgotten it and can see it with new eyes. Yeah, it's like that, right? Kevlar, that's exactly. Antonio, how are you, sir? Welcome back to the Boombox. That's what I've decided to call it, because Boom Room sounds a lot like a strip club or like something like that, but the Fragaboom box sounds like me. Sounds like hip hop. It sounds like what I enjoy. So, and Fragaboom is a rap song, so it makes so much sense. So I might even get a shirt made. I want to do the art. Maybe it'll be a Fragaboom box with dudes like coming out of it, you know, something like that. Kevlar, I'm friends with him, love that show. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a great dude. Vegas, yo. Let's see. Mark Kistler was fun to draw with after all the serious college classes. He made it fun again. Yes, I still talk with my high school teachers 10 years later. Taught me a great deal and is a lifelong friend and mentor. Yes, that's the best. That's the best. And then, you know, I had a really great mentor in my buddy Fred. Fred doesn't do any drawing, but Fred was and is super knowledgeable in comics history, music. Then it became like I really started digging guys like Carl Potts and Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee and those guys. And I would talk to them at shows. And back in the late 80s when I was coming up, it was much easier to talk to them. Conventions were entirely different. The way you got into comics was to do samples, make photocopy packets of those samples, get your portfolio in front of an editor or another artist or a writer, anybody that you could at a con. And again, these people were a lot more accessible. It wasn't a madhouse with, you know, I remember when I was a kid, Marvel had a corner. Imagine like in a corner if you took like, you know, the artist alley, if you took 4 of those artist alley tables and put them in a long row and then put them in a corner. So there's a corner and a long row and there'd be Stan Lee just signing there and Steve Saffel, their press guy, talking press. Tom DeFalco sitting over there. Carl Potts walking by, you know, and you're like, oh shit, you know, I need to go talk to those guys. And you know, and sometimes you'd have to wait. I always judged how popular an artist was, and these are the old days, but you judge them by the horseshoe, right? Like if they're standing here and they got a horseshoe, is that horseshoe one person thick? They got a circle, is it like dense, like 3 people thick, like a sunflower, you know, and they're the center, is it crazy like that? And it used to be like that. It was a nutty thing, and man, I really definitely appreciated it. Matt Yackey, he gave me a little text right there. A lot of funny memes out there regarding Epstein. I saw that Navy SEAL, that clip of the Navy SEAL talking on Fox News. He was talking about his canine dogs, and you know, very, very prominent Navy SEAL with his canine. And he's talking about military dogs, and then he says, hey, before I go, can I give you a small PSA? And he says, these dogs are highly trained dogs, and a lot of people think they can get them as pups and raise them up, but there's a procedure to doing this, and you know, you want to make sure you get a trained up dog when you get a dog. And Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That's how he ended it. And I was like, oh dang, that's, you know, you see that, and then all of a sudden it's as if every meme door opened and it got memed out. So I'm not getting political, I'm just talking about how the presence of ideas sort of floods our airwaves and systems, and you know, you think a thought, and a lot of times it manifests itself, or sometimes we think Facebook is listening, you know, that sort of thing. But I'm not here to talk conspiracies, guys. I'm here to talk about creativity, inspiration. I had a picture up today. I put it up right before I put our little bump to let people know that our show is live. and I posted this. I just posted classics, and somebody said, I noticed that Hulk signed by the Todd Father. It seemed kind of, I think what he said is it's kind of disrespectful to keep it that way. And I wasn't offended or anything at all. I basically just said to this guy, I've had that issue since I was 14 years old, and I have read that issue so many times, and I've read that whole era so many times, because that's where I discovered McFarlane's work, was on the Hulk. Very first time I'd ever seen his stuff, following him over to Spider-Man, followed him over to, following from Amazing to regular Spider-Man, on to Spawn. Cut out magazine articles when I was a kid. So he is still a major influence. It wasn't just the way he draws either. It's sort of a mindset of pushing things and asking the why nots of things. And that's one of the things about creativity that I really enjoy. One of the things that I want to go back to is someone had mentioned, no offense, but my style has changed a lot since the 90s. No offense taken. I'm pretty hard to offend. I get offended when I get attacked, and I only get defensive when I get attacked. That doesn't feel like an attack. That feels like an observation, and one that I wholeheartedly embrace. And the reason I embrace that is because I believe in different concepts. Like, for example, I brought this one up before. Tony Robbins talks about something called CANI, and it's an acronym: constant and never-ending improvement. Okay, what that means is if you are good at something, the next day be just as good at that thing, or a pinch better, but never yesterday's. Okay, you can't go back. You can't go back, and you got to cut yourself some slack. I'm not saying just be screwed down and so rigid. I gotta be the best. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is can't rest on your laurels. I've talked to you guys before and been completely open book, cut open my chest and say, here's my heart. Made a lot of mistakes in my early comic career. A lot of it happened out of naivete. A lot of it happened out of insecurities. Sometimes things can get rocked hard enough to not feel them their way. And like I told you before, I was pretty confident in high school, confident when I broke in. Then you get into I'll tell you a studio situation. Politics arise. People want to be the favorite, and there's a lot of infighting and vying, and it's the natural order of things. And with that comes what I call style chasing. We've talked about style chasing before, where you look outside of yourself for what you think is exciting, and say, oh man, that guy draws this so cool, I better do that too. And then at a certain point, you've created a Frankenstein monster of something that isn't truthful to your original intent. And it wasn't until I left comics that I really started to understand that I could have my own identity and just be what I want to be. When I draw He-Man, I don't look at any reference other than He-Man toys or He-Man cartoons, and it's because I want to have a take on things that is uniquely mine. I don't open up any other comic art. I don't look at it, because there was one time I was drawing the Green Goblin, and I was out of comics. This is like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I was really feeling it, and I don't want to be saying like, I'm feeling myself, I'm the best, but if you don't like your own shit, who else is gonna, right? So ultimately what I'm trying to do, and why my stuff looks different, is back then I was aiming to please what I thought was an audience that wanted this. They want this. and I wasn't going, well, what do I want? And during that time drawing that Green Goblin, I said, man, I realize right now that if I want to see the dopest version of something that makes me feel thrilled, I've got to be the one to make it. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I realized the only way that's going to be possible is if I buckle down and draw every day and really just try to understand myself versus trying to gather styles where you're emulating and aping things. Instead, I said I need to understand form better. I need to understand perspective. I need to also learn how to tap into my brain. The free flow drawing system stemmed out of seeing someone like Jung Gi, and that thing almost rewired my entire everything. Let's go to the boombox. Let's and hopefully you guys like the concept of the boombox. Let's see here. Boombox is also good for chat box. I dig the blue lightning you got. Blue lightning I got going. Thanks, man. I can change colors. This is what's really cool about this whole deal. If I go into here and I want to dial up some red or some orange, now we're in the Halloween vibe, right? We're in the Halloween vibe. All right. Oh, get the shots ready because I was talking about the thing. Little early for streaming issues. Insert angry emoji here. I remember those old con days. Yeah. Oh man, I need to see that Snapple fact lid. What up, Mr. Green? How are you, sir? Someone else is using your internet, I think. It could be. We don't know. It's very, very, very possible. Let's go back to the blue. This red light is making me feel like I'm in a dark room. And I used to work in a dark room. I think I told you guys about that. I worked in a pre-press where we got all the stuff ready for textbooks. We would make them. There would be graphics created, a lot of times by hand. Then they'd cut them out and put them on film. We'd shoot that film. That would turn into a actual big giant piece of film. We'd and that would be in the dark room. We'd take it out of the dark room once it was developed, throw it on a light box, use something called liquid film, and basically do touches to fix any hairs or dots or anything. From those, we'd shoot something called Oslid blue lines. And it was this big ultraviolet machine that would expose, it would shine on the film, and only the see-through parts of the film would allow exposure to this blue line paper. Then you ran it through this ammonia machine, and that's how you could make the proofs. And that's what we would send out for the publishers to say, okay, yeah, this is good to go. And then they'd have their film, which they would then send to the printer and create plates and make textbooks. So that was one of my jobs as well. Let's see. I'm glad I don't drink by choice. We have many more glitches. I'm gonna pass out. Is this a glitchy episode, guys? Have we had a glitchy episode? What's up, Mr. W? Dan, is your change of drawing style a conscious effort, or is it something that happens organically? Let's see. I think it's organic and it's a conscious effort, right? It's a conscious effort because I want to be better, and I still have influences, but my main goal, my absolute end goal, is to pull what's out of my head in a very accurate manner as quickly as I possibly can. And I'm learning the faster I am at capturing things, the more the essence is there. But that only comes with mastery, to be able to draw without doing roughs, to be able to really capture things and also to expand the capacity and the visual vocabulary. And you know, I think about things and I can run things through filters in my mind now. Like I could say, okay, if I'm gonna draw this Batman, I can see it, and I'm gonna use these as touchstones, not as ways I want to draw like this person, but I'm saying stylistically, you could take Batman along all kinds of lines. You could go with something like a Brian Stilfreeze, Adam Hughes, Mike Mignola sort of vibe. Then you think about Neil Adams Batman. Then you think about Jim Lee. Then you think about when Todd did him, and then you think about the time Michael Golden did him and Sam Keith, and you go, what's mine? You know, where does it fit in all this mess? Because that's a nice gamut scale. You know, I could say Jim Aparo falls into the Neil Adams, Carmen Infantino, Marshall Rogers, but Marshall Rogers affected the way that Art Adams drew him, and the same with McFarlane. McFarlane's is closely related to the Marshall Rogers version of Batman. So I think about those sort of things, and as I'm creating this sort of gesture, I'm able to almost like the filters you get in Instagram or whatever. I go, oh, Batman Sam Keith out, and I'm not saying draw him like Sam Keith, but that attention to the rips and all that. And when I think of McFarlane, I think of big capes and sweeping things, or the ears. And when I think of Marshall Rogers, I think of the cleanness. Because if you look at McFarlane's Batman, it was very clean, very capey, but very clean. So there's a deliberate effort, but mostly I want more clarity of vision, larger capacity for such, and to be able to get it out quicker. That's why your stuff keeps evolving. Your best stuff is always your newest stuff. The same cannot be said for many artists. Mr. Green, that is very kind of you. I know what you mean. There are plenty of guys out there that I like their older stuff. You hear that with bands. Their older stuff was better. There are some guys that just keep charging the hill, you know. Like, for example, I think Art Adams is better now. There is some of his older stuff that holds a nostalgic value to me that is going to be hard to beat. But he's one of those guys that keeps going. Joe Jusko is another guy that keeps going. Walter Simonson is another guy. You're just like, oh my God, you keep going. So there's guys out there that still do it. I think McFarlane is still great. I had that epiphany about things being overcolored when I was looking at there's an art of McFarlane called The Devils in the Details, and there was this haunt cover that he had shown in black and white first, and I'm like, oh shit, that's like old Todd. And I'm looking at it and kind of loving it. Oh man, that brings back those feels, you know. Then I turned the page and I saw a color, and I went, oh, there it goes. There goes the feels. So there's something to be said about a fine balance where the color and the line art marry to create an experience. But again, it's all personal preference. Some people want that super realistic rendered vibe. I myself am not one of them. Let's see. My stuff was bad until I stopped trying to draw like everyone else. Kevlar, that's exactly right. I'm not saying your stuff was bad. I'm just saying that is the same thing. Boombox is like your letters column. Yeah, exactly. Comic Vantage, how are you, man? I just want to say how much I appreciate you. Comic Vantage, I want to let you guys know that he was very instrumental in helping get our channel over the 1,000 subscriber mark. He was throwing contests and getting his guys to come over here and say Comic Vantage sent me, and they became subscribers. So we crossed that threshold. Thank you. Thanks to him, and thank you to you, Comic Vantage. You guys, if you can show and return the favor, if you're not already subscribing to him, you should check him out and give him a sub, because he's got cool comics and a lot of talk about comics and history of really great items. Dan, it's been better the last few minutes. Oh, good. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. In fact, I turned the internet off of that computer to make sure it would go quicker. I love Jim Lee, but I think Hush is prime Lee. See, and the way I feel about Jim Lee is I feel like Extinction Agenda, for me, was his prime. It's all good. All of it's good. And he's a Hush. He became more of a blockbuster director. Let's just, if we're gonna get into it, let's put it this way. Old Jim Lee feels like Terminator 1, Aliens, a little bit of Terminator 2. New Jim Lee feels like Avatar. Still awesome, still dazzling, but I like crunch. I've always told you guys that. I like crunch. And it could come, like I could say, hey, Michael Golden, probably my favorite guy out of all the guys, because of his qualifiers. You could say, man, that guy's super slick, but his crunch is in his proportions. His crunch is in the fact that he's doing realistic lighting on cartoony drawings. It's almost like a maquette. You know, someone could sculpt anything out of a cartoon. It doesn't matter how 2D that cartoon is. You can make a Powerpuff Girl 3D. Okay? What he does is he takes that cartoon, he puts light on it, and he puts it in perspective, and he abstracts it. That's what I like about Michael Golden. Not sure why I got over there, but he's got crunch. You ever find out the paper type from the 90 books? No, I forgot to bring them, and Spencer and I talked about it. That's still my chief aim. That is still my chief aim. Thank you, Mr. Green, for posting that. I do my comic book work digitally, but like to keep imperfection so it has more of a traditional vibe to it. I love traditional and mainly do my artsy-fartsy stuff in that medium. Yeah, man, I'm the same way. And what I found in my quest for speed is that digital allows me to do that. Because a lot of times, like I found this new app, okay? It's called You Make, and not You Make, but You Make. And what's cool about it, it's an iPad app. I'm not sure if it's on Android or iPhone, but it's definitely on the iPad. You draw things. Let's say you draw a straight line, and then you say that's this vector, and then you see another, and you sketch another. You could literally like design a cable gun, like, you know, cable's big gun. I call them cable guns, or a Fragaboom box. Boom boxes with triggers. So you can sketch this design and turn the vantage point of the design, and then have this sort of crudely drawn 3D object, right? And from that, you can go into cleanup and literally clean up your lines. It's almost like vector tools when you clean up, but it then turns it into a 3D form, right? So I like that idea for, like, if I created a vehicle and I really wanted to lock it down and make it feel like it's up there, then that's what I'm gonna do. And one of the things that I really feel very grateful for in the journey that I've had since, you know, I just thought about this today. If I was to be truthful about it, my very first printed work was in the Martinez News Gazette in 1989. So I could legitimately say 30 years, okay? But let's not stretch it. My comics career has started in 91, but I started professionally in 89. When I look at that journey and see that I've done news strips, comic books, storyboards, directing, character design, set design, second unit directing, consultation, viz development at Mattel, I realized that like all these things are kind of a culmination of what makes my mindset. So when I say to you guys, new comics remind me of movies on paper, and I don't like that, I will then counter by saying something like, I want my stuff to feel very movie-like, so I want to have continuity. Okay, I'll say something like that. So continuity is if the ship is parked here and it gets hit into that building, and the ship has crashed now here, that scrape on that building, no matter where I move my camera, will stay that scrape on that building, and that ship will be there. So anytime we turn and look, there's that sort of continuity. That said, I want to throw every convention that comic books have, that vernacular of comic books, the vocabulary, the toolbox that we have, and you can learn about those. Let me see if I have it in here. I was pretty sure I did. There it is. Let's go to the Fragaboom first person cam. Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. I was given a copy of this book from Scott McCloud. Look at that. For Dan from Scott. I was given this copy before it had become, you know, the icon of comics that it is. And I was happy to have it, and I remember I flipped through it and was like, man, this is so cool that he did this, and I kind of grazed it like a crazy livestock animal, but I never really sat down and read it until about maybe 2 years ago. And I decided, hey, I'm going to do cover to cover on this and really see what I could do in regards to absorbing what it had to say. Because the only other book I'd read on the subject, other than How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, but like the more in-depth book, is Will Eisner's what do you call it? Sequential illustration. They changed the names back and forth, but I have a copy of that too. But this goes into more of a deep dive, right? Eisner's talks about how to tell a story, how some of the things happen in between the gutters, how you can change time, how you can milk a moment out, how you can make some feel bigger and some smaller, etc. But this goes into a lot of things about the psychology of comics. And I want to take everything that I ever learned from this book and put it into Black Flag Pineapple Perception. So this is a real awesome book. I recommend you guys pick this up. Another one that's really great to get is written by Carl Potts, and it's pretty in-depth as well. I don't know if I have a copy on this rack. I used to, but I'm not seeing it offhand. Let's go to the box and see what's happening. Subscribe, Comic Vantage. Thanks for the link. Yeah, I agree. I just think Jim Lee's X-Men run is his prime, like McFarlane's prime with Spider-Man. Silvestri seems to get better when he left Marvel. Amen to that. We like the crunch. Mo 2 in 17 days. Burr, burr. You want that dance hall horn for that one. That book is awesome. You can have a comic be movie-like, but still comic about it. That's right. I'm glad you see that, because it's so weird in this day and age, and thank God nobody in the boombox is one of these types as far as taking offense or assigning intent to things. I saw something today that made me Captain Picard my face like this, because earlier today Sean Gordon Murphy was posing with this rapier that he had made, or had made, so he had good drawing reference for this thing in Batman White Knight. He said the hilt was very difficult to draw at certain angles, so he had it made, and it's just him posing with it like this, and then some close-ups of it. And then he was bombarded with a bunch of tweets and things about it being representative of toxic masculinity, and that he said, I've learned my lesson not to post pics. And I was like, yo, man, this is a crazy day and age where everything and anything you say is being so scrutinized. So anyhow, that's why I'm always like, oh, I know I said this, but things aren't black and white, they're gray. And also there's a thing called context. Context is super important. Context is everything. And the other thing is you guys remember Running Man? sure you guys remember Running Man, because a lot of you guys are from that era. I'm from that era. And when Arnold was put in there, they showed it, the vicious crime that he had done, where he massacred those people, when in real life that he didn't. It was just context that they used to frame things. And a lot of times people want to have a narrative, and those people will use everything they can to keep that narrative going. And some people just want to yell at the world. I'm not one of them. I want to dance. And all that sounds crazy, but that's what I mean. And I don't mean like a whirling dervish kind of dance. I'm talking about, think about your favorite song that you involuntarily bob your head to, or your favorite song. I always catch my wife singing songs and like quietly in the car. You know, she's driving. I'll look over and I'll play a game in my head. She's not gonna be singing to this one. I look, she's not. And then there's some other, 8675309, something like that. And I look over there. She's mouthing. So that's the vibe I'm talking about as far as what I want to do with this world is I want my favorite song on. I want to be bobbing my head and drawing pictures and feeling the joy of creation and sharing it with you guys. That's what I'm about. What are we gonna draw today? Rodwell Stevens triggered. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Yeah, Jason, you saw the post. Wasn't that thing cool? That's one of the reasons I want to take a look at that You Make program. Matter of fact, we might even be able to pull it up on the iPad here. You've been watching the Couchdoodles show. I am your host, Fragaboom, comic book veteran of 28 years, artist for hire for 30. Kind of weird saying it, but it's the darn truthiest. Let's get this thing going. 1, 2, 3. We're loading it in, adding it in as an input. There we go. Let's jump in. And you guys, do me a favor. If you can hear the audio from the video I'm going to show you from this iPad, you guys let me know, because I've wondered about that. I've wondered if that's how dual chats work. Like when I'm talking to Art to Bear, am I going to put headphones in and can you guys hear it? I'm a tech guy and I want to know some of that funny stuff. All right, let's check it out. This You Make, okay? UMAKE. You Make. Here we are. You Make 3D CAD modeling. Oh man, they don't have the video on here. That's sad. That makes me sad. Well, darn. This is some of the stuff they have here, but they didn't. The part that really interested me the most, there it is. I saw a video of it, and it bums me out, and I wanted to show you guys a video. But see how this guy's drawing the shape of a motorcycle? Then you can come in and clean it up and actually make fully rendered and exportable 3D shapes. Well, that was a bummer. Let me see if I can pull it up on the tubes with this iPad, and hopefully we won't kill our stream by doing this. You Make. Boom. I don't know. Anyhow, if you guys want to check it out, here it is. Just check it out on YouTube. It's called You Make. You'll see this video here using the freestyle sketch mode in You Make. This guy does a hair dryer and does it pretty quick. You can see I watched that video. I'm actually on the fence as far as what I want to do with You Make if I get it, and if I want to do the full. We're hung up. There we are. I was seeing that we were frozen there for a second. I was wondering why it was so far behind. There we are. Okay. But I was thinking about using it to design some guns and some vehicles and keep those consistent. They want $95 a year or $7 a month or something like that. Or you can get it for $300 and not have to pay anything else. So part of me was wondering, is it worth it? Hopefully it's the stream. Our stream is acting jank again. I think what ends up happening is the stream dies, and I don't know why. Hopefully you guys are still here. How is the diet and weight loss program going? I believe it's going okay. I've been eating a lot of salmon, been having salads, broccoli. I can say that I really enjoy that. I could probably eat salmon and broccoli for the rest of my life. So I think it can't just be a diet. I think it has to be a lifestyle change. Let's see here what we got. I got off Twitter because it's too crazy. It can be a little bit crazy. That's why this is the only chat I'm part of. Too many trolls. There are a lot of those. I am imagining Dan doing baby metal dances. Draw a boombox. I agree with you, but Jason, streams are troll free aside myself. Good to know. I look like a troll. Does that count? I feel like a troll. My back is always killing me. I feel like that old man who's like, you know, oh, my back. Video has been frozen and stuttering. Yeah, I see that. There we go. That's it. Not playing the drinking game anymore. I see. It's whenever I use internet on the iPad, probably. That might be what it is. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. Is it when I add the input, the display? Let's check. Well, that's good, Mr. Yaki. Sorry, I'm so off. Like right now, all I can see is the Udemy stuff. Let's see where we're at. Okay. Yeah, we're like more than a minute behind. This latency is driving me crazy. Okay. So I'm jumping in and I'm going to sketch something Black Flag, because that's what this month is all about. So let's take the idea for the cover of issue 1. The cover of issue 1 is going to be if it's a issue 1, it's going to be the cover nonetheless. We're going to take the old Black Flag cover, the old McFarlane one, and punch a hole in it like this. Like you see with classic X-Men, right? The all new X-Men, and then you got your this, and then Sniper's face will be here, and Geisha and Gorilla and the Image Eye, and then I'm gonna have the team possibly coming out. I want a big gun, but part of this is making sure I don't cover too much of the cover that it's bursting out of. And this will be the one that Liefeld is going to ink. Put Raiden back here. Oh man, you guys. Sorry, I get I get really excited when I think about what is in store for you for this comic book, and how many breadcrumbs I've left over the past few days. Anybody that knows the story, who's been able to read the outline, will understand. And even sometimes, you know, like I'll say this. I worked with, do you guys remember, of course you remember, you know, Will Smith, his wife is Jada Pinkett. And Jada Pinkett and I did a comic book back in 1997 called The Menace. And I used to meet with her. Sometimes I would drive to Universal because the Overbrook, which was James Lasseter and Will Smith's company. Overbrook was had its own set of, they're like trailers almost, but like sort of sub bungalow spots. And I used to go and work with her. And I remember one time she told me a story about how she and Will were going to be in a movie together. And this is 1997, okay? She's telling me about this thing that I gotta see called Bullet Time. And she's telling me about this movie called The Matrix. And she was trying to explain it, right? She said it's like a manga, and they're working on this camera that can freeze time, and you could zoom in and zoom out, and you know, it'd be a lot of training, and you know, they were going to take a few years to make it. So we said no, but it's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. And she was trying to explain The Matrix to me in a way. And then later on down the line, I saw some things about The Matrix where they said that the Wachowski brothers needed to hire Steve Skroce to storyboard their movie, because people would read the script and be like, I know I like it, but I don't quite understand what's up. Then they did the storyboards and they're like, oh, now I get it. My script, I'm not saying it's Matrix good, but it's one of those ones that I could literally tell it to you and ruin tons of it, but the experience itself is going to be in holding the thing. Breadcrumb. All right, back to this. Rooster Puncher, my man. Stop farting and crashing the feed. Yeah. I can get gassy. Sammy J representing Martinez. Glad you made it, Rooster Puncher. I'm there with you. So this is sort of the idea here of the cover. We'd have Sniper here, Geisha here, Gorilla here, Raiden here, Bubble back here. No Spot. Spot won't be on the cover because Spot is in a coma, as I've told you guys, and we can't figure out why. But we will. We will figure out why as the adventure goes on. So there's one idea for a cover, right? The other one I wanted to do, which I may do, because I like iconography, is then take that McFarlane cover again and have, you know, here's the image eye, but I'm going to have to obscure it somehow. We have that cover, but then we have our team in their poses, holding this big gun, and it's almost like they're standing on top of the cover. right? Maybe even have a little bit of a shadow, like they're a pop-up standing out of the cover. So that's another idea for a cover. You know. So you guys, I definitely want to see again. Like I started off our episode, our live stream here, with a bit of what was happening in my head today. In fact, I had a bit of a dialogue with our cohort here in the Fragaboom box, Mr. Rooster Puncher. Spencer and I were talking via Twitter about what can be done for the show. In fact, he's the one that put the cinematic idea in my head, because I'm realizing there's so much crossover and there's so many creatives in different industries, whether it's gaming, animation, toy design, film, advertising. There are so many ways in which creativity can be utilized, and this show being about creativity, I want to be able to cast the widest net as I possibly can, so people can hear what we have to say, and so what I'm trying to do, and one of the recommendations that I had seen in my searching for how to make your content better, because I'm always in search, constant and never-ending improvement. How can we make content better? Obviously, there is the optimization for search engines by putting keywords in the description, keywords, tags, things like that. Rooster Puncher gave me a piece of advice that I didn't know about, and that's that the live shows don't show up in suggestions and browse. They just show up if you're part of the channel. So that's something new. I learned today that having a format, at least something that people, when they go, they watch a live stream, they go, I know what this is. I know that the first 5 minutes we're gonna hear about this. I know that the second part's gonna be this. I know the third part is gonna be this. There may be some change-ups. Like I said, the thing I want to make it feel like is a late night show, or Bill Nye the Science Guy, where there's maybe a little bit of a theme or whatever. But I like having the idea of, let's say it's a late show, the idea of an opening monologue, an intro, a guest or something like that, talking about something, having a musical performer, whatever. But you know what I'm saying, is changing up the little different topics of as we go. So what I need to see from you guys is a wish list of things that you would like to see, and I'll see what is fully capable. The things on the table, like I was saying before, is obviously our live chats that we have. They're reviewing new comics, reviewing classic comics, reviewing artwork, looking at rare artwork or different takes of artwork that we love. I'm not just talking mine, I'm talking about stuff that I like. Drawing tutorials, interviews, things like that. So I would love to see what you guys think would make awesome content for our live show. Go into the Boombox, check it out. Menace was awesome. It's less shared than VOD. That's right. That's true. That's what you're talking about. So we're gonna make this show something awesome, and I'm glad you guys are true diehards. I was telling my wife about you guys today and saying how it's pretty awesome how I see you guys. They're like brotherhood. We're like the dudes. There's another cover that I was thinking about, but it's almost too simple, right? And it's got nothing to do with adding the McFarlane ink job to it. It's just literally the black flag symbol, like this. But actually, you know what I just happened in my mind? Number 2 cover. And there's going to be some elements on this cover I can't include because of cliffhanger reasons. But there's something to that. But I like this one. I'm going to call this one A and this one B. Which one do you guys prefer out of these two? They're both going to be over the McFarlane Black Flag cover. Just remember the old black and white preview edition cover. Pull it up right now. Put it on the POV cam real quick. This one, right? With our nice purple lighting. Let's change the lighting slightly. This cover right here. So basically, our heroes would be crashing through, or our heroes will be standing on it like they were a bunch of almost action figures standing on the cover. Which one do you guys prefer? Do you guys like A or B? And I'm seeing how far behind we are too. You want to see? That's where I'm at right now on this. I've even written the cover 2 on there yet. That's crazy. It's like time travel must be something for those time traveling fools. Their brains must be slightly warped, being here, there, everywhere. I have a character like that in my Switch concept. I drew him today. His name is Emmett Oddshell. And the cool thing about Emmett Oddshell is he's a Galapagos Island tortoise. The reason they move so slowly and the reason they live over 100 years, they say about those tortoises that old age doesn't kill them. It's usually parasites. They don't get cancer. They don't get any of that other stuff. But it's usually like a parasite that gets them. The concept behind him and why they're special and they're only on that island and such is that I believe that they are in multiple times and dimensions simultaneously. So you could be talking, if I was Emmett Oddshell, you could be talking to me and I'm here with you, but I'm also having a conversation with Plato in Greece. I'm also having a conversation with you're not over in the 5th dimension. All at the same time. But I'm moving slowly and deliberately because the more I spread myself thin, the slower and more deliberate I would have to be. So when you switched to that view, it got glitchy. Interesting. Maybe timestamps in the description. Comic review, 25 Black Flag concept, 56 Q&A. I could do that. So then what I would do then with that concept, Jason, is keep myself on task, right? Like keep myself to a schedule and watch the clock. I don't think that's a terrible idea at all. And that could give people like a way of saying, hey man, I could take a leak. He's just talking about crazy shit. So yeah, I could see how that would be good. I would love specific drawing tutorials. And then I see Rooster Puncher. I have some. D, that's my feelings on cover A as well. Mr. Green, I plan on doing drawing tutorials. I think that's a great idea. They're also good breakaway content. Again, what I need from you guys, and it's an ask because it requires a little bit of effort. And I don't mean that you guys are lazy, because I would never say that. I know myself, and I get lazy. My comments are a reflection upon my own habits. But if you go in and Mr. Green, say you're like, hey, some specific drawing tutorials would be great. Awesome. I'm more than happy to do it. But I could give a tutorial on tons of things. I could do perspective, break out perspective. Now you have vehicles in perspective, buildings in perspective, landscapes in perspective, shadows in perspective. You say human form, male, female, creature, legs, arms, hands, heads, torsos, poses, fights, sequencing. There's like literally a mountain of things I could pick from. So if I hear from you like, yo man, I'm really interested in this, that, and the other, and then here's where the effort part comes in. If you guys write them in the comments section, is if some of you guys comment on those comments and say, yeah, me too, I would dig this, we would be a better show for it. And I'm wanting to bring you the best show I can bring you. And more importantly, what I consider a good show isn't how many people are in the boombox. What I consider a good show is how many people are wanting to create and draw after they watch this show. That's what I call a good show. Let's see. I feel like I'm in the ATLEN with the A. Stream is spotty on my end. Yeah, I'm wondering. Let me shut that off. I'm gonna stop the screen broadcast and see if that's part of the shakeup. That might be it. I love looking over rare comic art and pencils and inks with your commentary, and you talk about comic storytelling. Yeah, that's also fun. I enjoy doing that. Jason, we have crap internet, so it could be me. No, I'm seeing the window cycle on mine too, where it does the refresh spinner on it. That's always a little disheartening when I see that, so I gotta figure that out. Figure out the deal with it. Also see what could be affecting it here. Like I said, I turned off the main computer. Perhaps I need to turn off a couple other devices to really choke it down. Or excuse me, since I am streaming now, maybe I should shell out some more dough for my internet plan to have a bigger upstream, perhaps. Alright, so I will definitely be down to do drawing tutorials. Again, coming up with the subject matter will be interesting. The other thing I want to talk about and see if you guys are interested in it is tech reviews. And anything could be tech when it comes to drawing comics. It could be, I got this brand new ruler. This ruler is good because, and I could just give a 5-minute segment on why this is the best ruler to buy and why I use it. We can do stuff like that. And a ruler is a terrible example, but for example, today I was messing around with those pit pens, right? Let me go get, did I bring it down? I'll show you. It's nothing spectacular. Let's get up. That's you guys here. Here's my sketchbook that I was messing around with today. Sometimes I bring clay in the car. Sometimes I bring sketchbooks. But I was practicing some inking today, but using different pens, man. I was using the Pitt pens. I was using there's a little owl I drew for my wife. I was using Pitt pens, and I was also using brush pen, and just trying different things out. And the Pitt pens, they have different sizes, right? And I've talked to you guys about those before. The XS, which is extra small, the fine, the medium. I think they even have a larger one. What I found though is that the extra small and I didn't really care for it. Some of these lines in here on this arm, like these in here, and you can actually see how small these lines are now that I put my big finger in there. Some of these smaller lines were done with the fine Pitt pen, but what I was finding is that and you can see it in this face here. All of this was done with their brush pen, which to me, the lines felt a lot better. Again, you can get the scale of this here. These big chunky figures here were done with the medium size, which I think I would only use to do layouts with, because I was messing around with that medium size to do some inking in here, and it was just, the lines were too fat and I couldn't get as much whip out of them as I wanted to. And when I say whip, I mean like the thick to thins and such. But that's what I'm talking about when I say like a tech reviews, where I would do it more in depth. Right now I just did a little show and tell, but I would do an in-depth thing like, this is this, it costs this much, you can get it here and there, blah blah blah, let's give it a spin, and do it up like that. And so some of those can be live, but the other thing that's great about those is I can pre-record those, right? Like if I decide, hey, I'm going to use my lunch break to eat some salmon and do a quick, 10-minute run through on this pen set. And then I can, cut inserts and edit it. That's the beauty of being on a phone iPad based production, is I can shoot, edit, add effects, add music, add sound effects, everything, upload, all from my phone, which is very exciting day and age that we live in. Let's see what we have here. I think someone's borrowing my net service as well. Anything, start firing. I'd like to see guest artists where you and the guest artist tackle the same thing. That's a great idea. I've seen that, like Drawn and Quartered does that. Under Fire, is that what they're called? Under Fire or Fire something. Anyway, there's another one out there that's like that, but that could be fun. Week 1, butts. Oh, I am lazy. Perspective in perspective. Yes. Seeing your breakdowns and walking through the process would be interesting. I have drawn after every stream thus far, and thank you, Dan and dudes. Yes, D, that makes me very, very happy, sir. I'm usually drawing while I watch these anyhow. Good. My first 10 minutes were crap, but it's been great since then. Maybe random surprise guests. Call you up, a fellow comic cat, surprise interview them. All about tech reviews. Yeah, equipment stuff would be appreciated. Could always use another pen. Vantage, right when you typed it. Yep. You could also do sketchbook walkthroughs, like this was this was today's note session, right? Let me take the zoom off. This was today's note session about this show, right? Interviews, reviews, tech talk, my ideal audience, like who I want to talk to, educate about the credentials, right? One of the things I don't really maximize on, and I realize that I don't, is how much work I've done in the 28 years I've worked. I bet you guys didn't know that I was the set designer for the 2007 Victoria's Secret fashion show. It's a weird thing, to say that, and when you go, oh, it must have been comics based, it wasn't. Most of my work that I do outside of comics has nothing to do with comics. Every now and then someone will call me up. Yaki and I just did a job for Skechers that was sort of character based, but a lot of times it isn't. For Victoria's Secret, when I did a bunch of campaigns for them in 2006, 7, and 2008. Helped them design their campaigns for all the posters you see hanging when you walk in the mall and you see them and you see like they've been art directed. Well, I helped conceptualize that for a few years. Or for example, for 7 years straight, I was the guy that helped create all the Hershey's campaigns, where you saw the Hershey bar melt and become little people, and they had a lot of those spots, or some music videos, things like that I've done, television shows that I've directed, or storyboarded for, or commercials that I've worked on. I realize, like, and here I am, I'm telling you guys, but I need to, what's the industry term for that? I need to leverage that to help grow the audience. So I'm going to create an intro that says something like, hey, I'm so-and-so, my work has been seen, and like, not too over the top, but you see it like in those craft shows, right? Like, I'm Tom, I'm Pam, we were da-da-da, now we're home wreckers. That sort of thing. So it's a thought. So this is one of my newer car sketchbooks, and in it, I like big butts in perspective. Here's some layouts from He-Man 2. Okay, real fast. That's how you're gonna see them, real fast. Let's see if the internet breaks. Some more He-Man layouts. See, you see me doing stuff on paper. I switch back and forth a lot of the time, just to keep fresh. And we're human beings. Some days we feel better than others, and sometimes we say, I don't feel like drawing digitally today. Damn it, I want to feel graphite on paper. And that's what feels right. And I'll go do a whole day or two of analog drawing. And it's good. I like big butts in them perspective. Equipment would be good. I like Menace #1. Wish there were more than one issue. I do too. I had a lot of fun doing that. When she and I would talk, her main vibe that she wanted was essentially a female version of the Crow. I thought we had the legs to do it. I know that the second issue was going to be about a rapper getting a record contract, and some of the shadiness of the music business, and how Menace got involved in that. And it was really fun sounding and fun looking, and I definitely wanted to continue, but I don't even recall what had happened, but it didn't. And then I ended up working, and here's another thing, man. I worked in the fashion industry as well. Back in 1997 and 1998, there was and you guys know this company called Genco. They made these big sort of oversized pants. They also had shirts and regular pants and shoes and things like that. So in 97 and 98, I was there to help them develop some of the graphics that went on the pants, some of the profiles of the pants. It wasn't me who did the 32-inch pipes, the ones you see people at raves where they can hide their friends in their legs. I didn't work on those, but I worked on some of the graphics that went on those. Anyhow, only thought of that because I had started, I think I finished up Menace right around the time I was working there. The modem Wonka. I was talking about connection, by the way. Not the show. Not the show is crap. Ha! Dancing with the Multiverse mods. Here we go. Maybe also traditional media as well as writing tips. Oh yeah. Traditional, I mean watercolor or clay. More than happy to. That is the only paint medium. Let me go back. Gouache and watercolor are the only paints I really know how to use. Sadly, oil has always scared me because it's messy and it requires like thinners and all that. But watercolor, I'd be more than glad to show you some of the techniques I have. Ink wash, clay. If I can get the camera set up right, try to mess with clay. It might get boring. It might end up being a time-lapse scene where I pre-recorded. I don't know if you guys want to watch me sculpt in real time. Maybe you do. It could be fun. I'll probably have to create a whole new set of music, some zenned out shit for you guys. What else? I think that's about it, man. I know we've been light on the drawing today with those covers, but I think we had some decent conversation. Again, the best way to make this show better is through us having a feedback loop, and what that includes is you guys dropping things in the comments box of what you want to see, things that would be exciting for you. I know for sure you want butts in perspective. Done. We can do that. I want to figure out what's going on with the stream issues. Like I said, if I have to shell out for better stream uploads, then I will, because I think having a clean stream would be very nice. A clean stream, which is garbage free. Oh, and also music. Can't forget music. We'll be talking about music. Might get some of you guys tuning out, but I love music. Don't forget that. And also some recipes. Comics Exposed. What's up, dude? How are you, man? Thanks for coming in. Love Punisher Warzone. Just saw those on the rack. Yeah, man. Punisher Warzone issues 1 through 8 are up there. That's why they're on the rack. If it's on the rack, that means I got love for it. That's what the rack is all about. I love racks. Comic book racks. Let's give it another viewing under the blue light. Look at that, He-Man. What else we have? There's that Avengers, the Barry Smith. Oh, Spider-Man. X-Men. Yeah. Very happy to have this spinner rack. Brings me great joy. Anyhow, we are at the hour and a half mark, and it's a school night. I hate having to cut it short like this. We will definitely have longer episodes during the Christmas break. But hopefully you guys had a good show, a good time. Please do me a favor. Drop some stuff in the comments with wish lists and things you like, things you don't like. Like I said, I don't take offense very easily. So feel free to give some comments about things you don't like. I know for one, it's the stream quality. So we're gonna definitely figure that out. And put your requests in if you like the show. Throw some thumbs up on it. If you're new and haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when we're coming on live. Some more of that video on demand coming soon enough when I have time to make it. Thank you so much again for being part of this show. Let's take a look one more time at Sniper, our friend. Let's take another look at why we're here. Comics. Another look at this one, why not? Did I tell you guys Black Flag is coming back? Alright. Guys, thank you so much. Happy Sunday night to you. Happy November 3rd. Tomorrow is the 4th. The next day is the 5th, which is the birthdays of my buddy Dan Kemp and Dan Plagle. Dan Plagle is on the 11th. His is the same as my uncle's. Dan Kemp is the 5th. He was coloring Spider-Man over JR. You guys like his stuff. I know you do. Anyhow, be well. Draw every day. Comment on that shit. Tell me what you'd like to see. I'll talk to you guys. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. You'll see a notice right around 8 p.m. Eastern. If we're going on, chances are we will. Think about what you want me to draw tomorrow. Have a good one.
go!